That's very nice of you. Thank you. That is a very famous piece, and I give our MC credit for saying it very well. That's O mio babbino, caro from Giacomo Puccini's opera, Gianni Schicchi. And basically, that aria is the soprano. I'm a soprano, which means I sing high, and I'm a dramatic soprano, which means I sing loud. And for those of you who didn't notice, believe it or not, that was not mic'd. I don't know if you can tell that or not. But in opera, you have to be brave, and you have to sing out because you have about 80 pieces in the pit for the repertoire I sing. The orchestra players, they aren't amplified, and you have one little voice standing up there trying to be heard on the stage wearing a 40-pound gown and a tiara, and probably trying to jump to your death at the end of the aria. So the beauty of that selection is it's about relationships, and it's a daughter begging her father, please let me go to the famous Ponte Vecchio in Venice and buy a ring with my fiancé so that we can go and get married. And if you don't let me do it, I'm going to go hurl myself off that bridge to my death. That's opera in a nutshell. So you may ask yourself, how does someone become an opera singer, especially someone from Orange County, California? I'm half Hispanic, born and raised down the street, born at St. Joseph's Hospital. Well, in my family, there are two respected trades. One is manufacturing, and the other is, believe it or not, opera. My great-grandmother was opera singer. She sang at Bayreuth in Germany. She sang at the Metropolitan Opera, and she sang pretty much all over the world. All the women on my father's side of the family can sing and sing well. My aunt was the winner for Miss Universe as a singer. My cousin sang on American Idol. So it's kind of really interesting at the holidays to see who fights for the mic. I always win because I don't need the mic. So thank you. I love that. The other side of it is manufacturing, and that is all the men in my family. My grandfather had a machine shop. My father has a machine shop. My brother works in the machine shop. My younger brother works there. And ultimately, you'll find out I'm there too. So over the years, when I was first identified as being a singer, it was Christmas. We were on my way to see my family. I was with my older brother and my younger brother. And my parents said, everybody gets to sing a Christmas carol on the way to Christmas. And so my older brother sang a very off-key rendition of Santa Claus is Coming to Town. Not so good. My younger brother couldn't talk, so we kind of just don't even talk about that. And then there was me, who went, I'm going to sing Silent Night. Now, I was barely 4 years old. I had just turned 4 years old in December. And as I remember vividly sitting in the back seat of the station wagon singing and thinking to myself, I need to make this really beautiful. And I just had this vision at 4 years old of what that meant. So I sang it once, and my parents were absolutely dumbfounded. And I didn't think it was that great. I was just a kid. All I had ever sung with was Barry Manilow tunes. And I finished, and Mom and Dad said, Robin, we want you to sing it again. And I said, okay. So I tried to make it really beautiful. What is that vision for a 4-year-old? Well, I knew I wanted it to be clear and not breathy. I knew that I did not want to have a flat tone. I wanted it to have that vibration. And for those of you who know what that is, that's called the vibrato, that spinniness to the voice. I didn't know what that was, but I knew I wanted it. So I made it happen at 4 years old. And I finished, and my parents couldn't believe it. And they said, well, gee, I guess we know who the next singer in the family is. Needless to say, we went up to the Christmas party, and they shoved me on the kitchen table and tried to make me sing for everybody. I still have trauma. I spent a lot of money on counseling over that. So you fast forward, my entire family is so incredibly supportive of this craft. I never knew how important it would end up being to our entire family that I would go out into the world and sing. Eventually, as I grew up, I went and sang in high school. I sang in junior high. I was in choir, never got a solo, never was highlighted, was in the back row. The teachers told me to be quiet, blend, don't sing out. And I kept thinking to myself, but I want to be heard, I want to sing. And they said, no, you have to do what everybody else is doing and blend in. My mother, God bless her heart, she said, don't you ever let anybody tell you to be quiet again. I'm paying a lot of money for those voice lessons, and I want you to sing out. Thank you, Mom. So I went to high school, and I won't tell you where I went. And I was very traumatized because I could never, ever get a solo. I could never get a part in a school play. Now, let's put this in perspective. At 16 years old, Segerstrom Center for the Arts opened down there, and there was a company called Opera Pacific. They cast me at 16-year-old to sing in the adult opera chorus of a professional company. And I couldn't get the solo in the school play. I was so traumatized. I did the audition. I didn't get it, of course. And so this became a pattern in my life of not achieving what I tried so hard for. I worked and worked and worked and worked. I memorized, I learned, I practiced, I tried, and guess what? I didn't always get the part, and I didn't always get recognized, but I kept trying. So I learned something through high school, that resilience was a resource I had and I built. And I knew that this would carry me through life. The other thing I learned through all these trials and tribulations was that preparation is the most important thing to success in life. You just can't fly by the seat of your pants and expect to do your best performance. And that has been hugely successful information from my life. High school, I tested out of high school. I was very bored, very under-challenged, and I thought I knew everything as the bottom line. Very egotistical, very know-it-all, typical teenager. I hesitate to say that, but I really was that horrible teenager who wanted to go out into the world and bug their parents. So I went and took the GED, and back then that was just an equivalency exam, and I didn't tell my mother I took it. I called my grandma, went there for the weekend and said, Grandma, there's this test I want to take in Anaheim. Would you drive me over there? My mom and dad know nothing about it. It's just a test. My grandma took me. I passed. The letter came in the mail to my parents saying, congratulations, your daughter's graduated. I was 15 and a half. You can imagine how that flew over in my house that night over dinner. My mother said, absolutely not. My dad said, you're out of school, kid. I didn't have the luxury of a college education, so if you're brave enough to test out of high school, you're going to college. I had one day off, and next thing I know, I was at Saddleback Junior College taking small business management classes. I loved it. I had found my mark in the world. I was taking classes. I was learning about taxes. I thought, this is the best. I met my husband there. We've known each other since we were teenagers, and we've been together 27 years, if you can believe that. I know, amazing. So I finished that journey I finished Saddleback College, and I immediately went to Japan to perform in a musical over there. And when I was there, I realized I'm really an OC girl. I was really homesick. I couldn't speak Japanese. I moved out of my parents' house, and I moved straight to a foreign country. And while I was there, I hurt myself very badly. Dislocated both knees in a performance, had to do the shows anyways. Was supposed to take 6 months off. I still did the shows and danced and did everything, and then I would go in every week and have them drained because there was so much fluid on my knees. So what did I learn about that? What resource did I have in that? Well, you could never knock me too far down. You could push me to the ground, and I'm still going to get up, and I'm going to still get on that stage, and I'm going to still go sing because I want to be heard. And that's what I did in Japan. Eventually, I came home, and I went to Indiana University, go Hoosiers, and I studied opera in Indiana. They were the only school that held my position. I was very lucky that my parents believed in an education because my father never had that luxury. My mother didn't either. I ended up at Indiana University, and as a fluke, I auditioned for the opera company there, Indianapolis Opera, for a musical. They cast me in an opera because I was prepared. I couldn't believe it. I had one aria, and for anybody who knows anything about opera, you show up to an audition, you have 5 or 6 arias in 4 or 5 languages. They're memorized within an inch of their life, and you sing them at the choice of the audition panel. I went in there and sang every musical theater song I had and prayed they wouldn't ask for the aria because I was still trying to memorize it. I got the part in an opera called The Merry Widow, and that really set my whole career in terms of a professional opera singer. That took me everywhere, and it was a bit of synthesis, bringing the musical theater with the opera and my preparation skills, my resiliency, my focus. From there, at 21, I ended up doing this for I'm 44 now, so you do the math. How lucky am I that the skills that I learned from my family that started when I was a baby, I've been able to apply my whole life to where I am now. Well, now I have a baby. I have a 1.5-year-old, and I have a 4-year-old. Took me a while to get him. Again, I'm resilient. Took me forever, but I got them. And they're everything to me. So I now have decided to work with my father and my brothers at our manufacturing firms. And whoever would have thought that an opera singer who just wanted to be heard would do okay in manufacturing? That is now what I do, and I'm pretty much semi-retired from singing. I periodically go out and have a good time here and there and sing, and I choose my operas sporadically. But the best thing about my life now is my audiences are smaller. My audiences are about 2 and my little Yorkie. And they love whatever Mama says and sings. And my parents, my dad's office is connected to mine. So I get that the resources I've had since I was a child, these things that I learned, how to reflect, how to be disciplined, how to focus, how to always be prepared for that opportunity in life. That's what I would encourage to every single person here, because you never know what opportunity is going to offer itself. You might end up getting an opportunity to go help your father and be strategic planning in a manufacturing firm. So I thank you for listening to me, and my greatest gifts at this stage of my life are not all those resources, but are my children, my husband, and my family, and being here in Orange County, California, participating in the Executive MBA program here at Chapman University. So now I'm on to the next season of my life, and hopefully there will be family and music and joy. Thank you very much. Thank you.